Hello, I'm Dave Mowitz and welcome to Successful Farming. On today's program, I'm investigating the price trends on late model John Deere 569 round balers. The engine man, Ray Bohacz, is back with another one of his great repair and maintenance tips. Then we feature a farmer-built sugar beet roller on all around the farm. And after these brief messages, I tour one of the most unique top shops ever featured on the show. It's a school bus converted to a field service truck. You've got to see this, so please stay tuned. Welcome to Top Shops. Today we're featuring a bus I would have loved to come home in. When Brett and Mike Broughton were looking for a service truck that would house a shop full of tools, as well as provide a place to get in from the weather, they invested in an old school bus for that vehicle. In doing so, they not only got a great shop on wheels, but also a field dining hall. Let's go talk to Brett about their school bus conversion. Well, I have to admit, this is the first time, the only other time I've ever seen a bus converted into a service truck was out in Idaho, and it was a lot cruder than this one. This is pretty refined. So talk about the fact that this is the first year in this bus, isn't it?
Yep.
And this is a 84 passenger bus?
Yeah, our last one was a 62 passenger.
And you upgraded because you want a little more room.
Yeah, we just had some things that we had learned over the years we wanted different. We wanted to put a onboard generator on instead of a Honda hanging out the front of the bus. And so we had some things we wanted to change, and we thought having another 8 feet would be nice to have a little more room.
Most people think of a service truck as a truck. Where'd you get the idea of the bus?
My boy and my cousin that I farmed with, we were loading our 1-ton truck or whatever with a few things, air compressor and a welder one day, and I said, sure be cool to have a bus to put it inside. And one of those guys said, my boy said, well, run uptown, the school's got one they want to get rid of, and the kid that was going to buy it, he's not going to use it, so I'm pretty sure $600 will get you that bus. So
good gravy. That's
I made
nothing.
a phone call, and an hour later we had a school bus sitting. We had to take a check to the school, and we had a school bus sitting on our yard. So after that we were putting things in, and all of a sudden we found out we could put a lot of stuff in that school bus, and we still had room left over. But after, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, we found out we could fill that school bus just like our shop. So just like everything else, more room is better.
Yeah. This goes with you when you're doing your field work, right? Either the spring or the fall.
Yep.
Or you even use it in the summer sometimes.
We use it a lot. I mean, if there's something going on, somebody needs help somewhere, we'll take the bus, and because anything you need, it's usually in the bus.
So when we come in the back, you positioned the air compressor reel, and
we got a torch in the back left corner, and we started with just a generator and welder,
right.
And we had a little air compressor we put in the corner so we could always have air with us. Well, then as things proceeded, the kid we were farming with, he bought a generator, welder, air compressor, jump starter or whatever, the whole 9 yards.
Right. And that's the Miller Trailblazer.
Yep,
then.
The Miller Trailblazer. And then we decided to keep our air compressor in the corner for air capacity so we could run our 1-inch impacts and stuff like that.
Oh, just extra air.
Yeah,
tank
to do a good
capacity.
job with it, yep.
Okay. And that you put on the, I'd say the right side of the bus as you're facing forward.
Yep.
And in the back corner then. The oxyacetylene torch is on be the left side of the bus as you're facing forward. And why in that location? Just to get the cords outside?
Well, when we started the deal, we always had to run everything out the back door, our hoses and stuff. Well, then when we did the second bus, we decided to put hose reels and everything in it. So before we'd run our hoses straight out the back. Well, then if you wanted to use them inside, you had to loop them back through the door. So now we're back to having our hose reels on the inside, and we can just grab them and take them outside to wherever we want to go, whatever we're working on. So
working your way down the bus, up to the front of the bus, on the left side, past the oxyacetylene tank, what do you have positioned there?
This bus, we got a little bit more room as we got it set up, and my boy thought it'd be a good place to have a storage area where something you could work on top. So in the fall, we'll put combine parts and things like that in there. In the spring, we put tillage parts and everything in it. And if you're doing something simple, you can set it on top and work on it. And as you come forward, you know, we got oil drums and everything there. So it seems like you always got more stuff to put away somewhere.
This service bus carries a remarkable array of tools, including a hydraulic hose crimper, because hydraulic hoses never seem to break sitting in a shop. In the experience you've had, you've been using bus now as a service truck for how many years again?
7, probably our 8th year right now.
What did you figure out you would like to add to this bus when it came to the mechanical work you've done? Or do you pretty much feel comfortable with everything that you have right now?
Well, we're pretty happy with what we got now. I mean, we started with just a small gas air compressor and, you know, didn't think about a welder or anything like that, a place you could put a torch. I mean, now we carry our torch, we carry plasma cutters underneath the benches, 2 different sizes of plasma cutters, and the big air pack will run about anything you want to run. So,
you know, with their second bus conversion, the Broughtons added an RV refrigerator that runs off of 120 or 12 volt electricity or LP gas, in addition to an onboard gas generator. Now, I'm kind of saving the best for last in a way, and that's now the front of the bus, and it's your open air area. That is your dining room.
Yeah, you know, when we're pretty family oriented, so we all get together at noon or evening or whatever to have dinner. Sometimes it's a midnight snack or whatever the gals bring us, but we found out if you got a nice place to bring stuff or for them to bring stuff and plug in crock pots or cook on whatever it may be, you get to eat really well. So we got a table. We usually can set 8 to 10 people around now in this bigger bus, and we got a place they can bring their food and plug it in and leave again or whatever. And we got this bus, we added a gas refrigerator, a camper refrigerator. I think we even broke down and put a TV in it too. So we got everything inside. We used to have to worry about when you go back to the yard, you had to get your equipment truck inside because everything was prone to getting wet or whatever. Well, now it doesn't matter. You just drive the bus home and park it.
But the cool thing about the bus is anybody can drive it. Automatic transmission, has an Allison automatic in it.
Yep.
It's fairly simple to operate, and you don't have to put the stop sign out when you ever stop.
No, this one you can if you want, I suppose, but
But the one thing you did, you had to change the outside to meet state law here in Minnesota, which is you just had to change the color.
Yeah, you got to make it look so the average 3rd grader won't think it's the one he's supposed to get on, I guess, when you show up. But
wouldn't that be a giveaway though, when he'd get up on the steps here and look down the way, thinking there's no seats?
He'd know he's on the wrong bus, I think.
The second bus the Broughtons converted didn't have a bumper, so Mike took a 4 by 10 foot toolbar to create this storage bumper to hold pry bars and tire irons. Plus, the bumper provides a home for receiver hitches that host a portable table as well as a vise. On this one, if you were to add anything or do anything over, what would it be? Are you pretty happy with what you got?
You know, we're really happy with what we got. I mean, it's what can you do nowadays for $1,200 and have a on-the-road shop or whatever? You know, buses are the best kept secret. Half the time they go right to the junkyard because there's no second use for them. And now something like this, you can take about anything you want along and you can get in cheap and just keep adding things. It's kind of like the shop. You always buy something else for tools and you put a bus out there and you can just keep adding until you decide there's another bus you want to try.
The cost is what the Broughtons discovered was the great attraction to converting a school bus to field service. Imagine all this for $1,200. But what made this bus conversion work was the innovative way the Broughtons used this great space. I'll see you on another Top Shop tour.
Hi, and welcome to the Engine Man segment of the Successful Farming TV show. You're probably wondering what I have going on here in these wine glasses and little mason jars, and we're not making any home brew. What we're basically doing is we're going to be talking today about fuel dilution of engine oil in both gasoline and diesel engines. Sadly, many engines are ruined by fuel diluted oil, and how fuel gets into the oil depends upon the type of engine it is. We'll talk about gasoline engines first. In the gasoline engine, fuel gets into the oil from the engine running, the carburetor or fuel injection running too rich, or even more common today though, is by a lot of short trip cycles. And now, I'm using the word trip, but that could be an engine that's used for very short duty cycle. For instance, let's say like a gas engine that's on a C tender. It's going to start and it's going to run for a few minutes and shut off and never really get to operating temperature. So it's always running with the choke partially on and poor vaporization of the fuel. That ends up washing past the piston rings and going into the oil. On a diesel engine, you could have fuel dilution from a bad injector, from lugging the engine, from poor combustion, or a mechanical condition that allows the fuel not to be burned. So the important thing here is for you to realize that when you check your oil, not only for level, you need to be cognizant that, say to yourself, geez, this engine is great, it's making oil. Well, if it's making oil, it's probably getting fuel in it. So what you want to do is whenever you check your oil, you want to also take the oil off the dipstick and feel it in your finger, and you want to take the dipstick to your nose and smell it to see if you can detect any fuel in it. Now, what we have here is a simple demonstration. I have pure oil. This happens to be a 1040 weight oil. I have the same oil, and I'm going to pollute it with 10% by volume of gasoline, and then I'm going to pollute this oil with 10% by volume diesel fuel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to pour it in. I feel like I'm on a cooking show here, right? And I'm going to take this, I'm going to pour it in here, and then I'm going to show you, this is the regular oil. You could see how it feels here. And this is the 10% oil. Now keep in mind that when you dilute fuel in oil, look how that runs right off. No lubricity whatsoever. That was the gasoline. And here's the diesel. Look at that. It's like water. That's only 10% pollution. And what this is going to do is cause excessive wear of every component in the engine that sees that oil. Bearings, cylinder wall, piston rings, camshaft valves, what have you. So it's very, very important for you to be able to confirm that there's no fuel dilution in the oil. First with your nose, dipstick level, and you could also use a fluid analysis test. I want to thank the people at Firestone. I'm in Columbiana, Ohio at their test facility where all of the agricultural tire development is performed. And these guys here really know about not only tires but fuel dilution, because some of their tractors have 30,000 hours on them with no engine problems whatsoever. You have a blessed day, and if I could ever help you, please contact me at sfengineman@agriculture.com.
Join me at a sale to see what late model John Deere 569 round balers are selling for after these brief messages. If your round baler is getting long in the tooth and short on its tines, an opportunity exists to upgrade to a newer baler, such as these John Deere 569 units. There are two mid-sized balers that turn out 4 by 5 foot bales. The two are a 2013 model, while there's also a 2014 model selling today. The opportunity I mentioned before that's being created is a spike in the sales of mid-sized balers between 2013 to 2015. Now, a lot of those balers are coming into dealerships or are finding their way to auction as their owners trade up to brand new balers. And that situation is putting some downward pressure price on late model used values. I also selected these particular balers as they will likely produce some of the strongest bids on balers today. And that will give us a clue as to what the top end values are in today's market. You see, both of these are premium equipped balers. That means they come with John Deere's Mega Wide Plus pickups, ISOBUS monitors, Deere's Diamond Tough belts with plate type splices, and adjustable hitches. Finally, they both appear to be in outstanding condition, but really a visual inspection only tells part of the story regarding these balers' past. If you want to know how much internal wear that these balers have accumulated, you need to check their bale counters or get a reading off their monitors. I just did that and found out that 2013 had produced about 5,100 bales and the 2014 had turned out about 4,700 bales. The reason you want to know the baler production is that it has a huge impact on price. And speaking of prices, I'm going to track down Scott Cook of Cook Auction and ask him what late model round baler values are doing these days. Now Scott, we're looking at those two Deere 569 premium balers. One's a 13, and it has about 5,100 bales on it. And then there's that 2014 has about 4,700 bales on there. Those are considered a low-use baler for that many years that they have on them. They look like they're in really good shape.
Yeah, a 4,000 or 5,000 bale baler is not that many bales. When you get to 10,000 bales and above, that's when you start, replacing belts and more maintenance than just normal bearing wear.
Right. So Scott, what should I look for if I'm serious about buying those balers?
Well, when I'm buying them to trade, obviously you got to look at the belts. These balers in particular with 4,000 or 5,000 rolls, normally the belts are still plenty usable. Your pickup's going to be fine. You might look for a pickup or look at the pickup on either one of these balers just because there's a possibility they could have picked up a stone or a log or something.
Okay.
These two balers in particular are fine, right. But if I'm buying, that's what I look for.
I hate to put you on, I will put you on the spot. What do you think the 14 and the 13 will bring today?
I think you better figure low 20s to middle, maybe upper 20s. The 14 possibly could bring 30, but I think somewhere in the middle 20s will catch both of those hay balers.
Well, Scott, it'll be fun to watch those balers sell, certainly considering economic conditions and how that has all changed recently. You mentioned the drought and the demand for hay. I really appreciate that information. Let's watch those 569 sell.
I am Tommy, get 20, better get 20, better get 2 pounds, better get 20, 21,000, and now 21, now $2,000, now 3, and now 22, better get 3,000, better get 24. I get 2, better get 20, better get 4,000, better get 25, and now 25, better get 20, better get 20, better get 5, better get 4, 5, now 25,000, and now 25,000, better get 4, 5, better get 25, and now 20, better get 20, better get 5, 25,000, and now 4, 5, better get 25. I got 4, better get 20, better get 5,000, better get 4, better get 20. You're out, sir, 25,000. You want to buy a baler right there, 25,000. I got 4, better get 25. Now 5, you're already in 4, 5 to your left right there, 25, and now 25. Now, did you say 5, sir? 25, now 5, and now 20, better get 5, better get 5 beer. Then 25, better get 20, better get 5, better get 5, better get 5 beer. 26,000, and now 26,000, you want to buy it, better get 26,000, and now 26,000, you want to buy it, better get 6,000, you get 26,000, better get 5, get 26,000, you want to buy it, better get 26,000, and now 26,500, and now 26,000, better get 5, you want to buy it, better get 26,000, better get 5, better get 5, better get 26,000, better get 5, you want to buy it, get 5, better get 5, you want to buy it, get 5 beer. Now 5. You bought a baler right there, 26,000.
The final bids are in on our round balers. Both balers brought the same money, $26,000. How did those bids compare to the sale of similar balers? I recently completed an in-depth review of late model baler values for Successful Farming magazine. While preparing that article, I took a look at recent auction sales of Deere balers and discovered that 2013 premium equipped 569 sold for between $15,000 up to $20,000. 2014 premium 569 sold between $17,000 up to $36,000. Now that price range for the 2013s is narrow, but the 2014 balers had an $18,000 price spread. Why such a huge difference? Well, that $36,000 baler had turned out only 3,700 bales, while the $17,000 baler had produced 12,000 bales. You see, use as indicated by bale production has a big influence on the value because it has a big influence on future potential repair costs. One last observation before I go. Although these are John Deere premium equipped models, there are also a wide variety of additional features that a baler can possess that will influence their resale values. Features that add value to a baler include a bale kicker, the option of having both twine and net wrapping, an automatic tying or wrapping system, both right and left hand gauge wheels, a high moisture kit, or high flotation tires. Figure on paying a bit more for balers that have those features. Now, for more information about Cook Auction, you can go to their website, cookauctionco.com. Well, I'm off to cover another sale. I'll see you next week right here on Steel Deals. After these brief messages, we travel to Colorado to see what a farmer can invent to roll fields smooth. So please stay tuned.
My name is Rick Schmunk, and I grow sugar beets in Colorado, as well as corn, hay, and wheat. And this is my shaper roller. The first pass is with the bedder, and that's just to shape where the beets are going to grow and get our ditches set. And then we'll come back through with the roller, and it'll smooth out the top, and pack the sides, and then just rough it up just enough just to keep the dust down. That way the planter has a nice even ride and doesn't bounce. This machine helps a whole lot. We can go a lot faster in the field, ground speed wise, just because the way the baskets are built, they'll keep up with the speed. The 6-row machine had rollers on it on the back, the Schlegel rollers, and they're loud and noisy, and you don't go too fast with those. For this machine, it took us off and on a couple weeks in the winter, just because we weren't working consistently at it. We did have a little bit of time driving to Texas. We got the parts, so it took us a couple of days to drive to Texas and back and get everything that we needed. And price investment, we didn't have to pay a whole lot. We had a lot of the parts on hand, but we did end up paying somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 just on the metal itself. For more information about this idea and other farmer inventions, go to agriculture.com/TV.
Please join us next week for another outstanding show. Successful farming editor Jesse Scott shows how to rig a UTV for hunting. The shark farmer Rob Sharkey is back with his unique perspective on agriculture. Are you looking for a good chore tractor? Then join me at auction to see what a cherry John Deere 4640 sells for. And then I travel to Iowa to review the restoration of a unique International Harvester 4100 4-wheel drive tractor. See you next week right here on Successful Farming. Hi, I'm Dave Mowitz. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit subscribe right here if you haven't already, and click that little bell right here to be notified when we post a new video. And click here to see more great episodes from Successful Farming Television.